Using AskUserQuestionTool is the easiest upgrade that you can make to your Claude Code workflow. Instead of writing massively detailed prompts to get a good output from your coding agent, you can use AskUserQuestionTool to have Claude interview you about whatever you're building before it goes out and implements it. I'll show you what this tool is, how to use it, when you should use it, and a few examples of how it improved my workflow. One of the biggest universal complaints about coding agents is that they build generic applications that do not function like you want them to. For example, we have a very basic prompt here, and this resulted in this application being built. It is pretty simple. You can create and delete tasks. You can mark them as complete, but maybe it's not what you wanted. And that can be fixed with a more detailed prompt. This prompt here resulted in this application, which has a lot of the features that we requested. It looks better. It's closer to what we want. And there's more differences than just the functionality of the application. There's also the amount of code that was written. There was a testing strategy difference. The tech stack that the agent chose is completely different. The difference in output from the coding agent between those two prompts is not magic. It's context. The more specific information Claude knows about your requests, your project, the domain that you work in, the better job it can do when writing software. There are a few different ways that Claude Code can gather context in order to complete its task. However, I think that the most important and underutilized source of context is you. And this is exactly what AskUserQuestionTool helps you do. It helps you utilize you as a source of context. So what is AskUserQuestionTool? AskUserQuestionTool is a specific tool built into Claude Code that will interrupt your conversation and present you with a question and default answers. The questions are either select or multi-select, and it'll always have 2 to 4 default answers that you can pick from. Under the hood, this is what's happening. It's just a JSON object that shows the question, the default options. And this is what the Claude Code experience looks like. The user can choose one of the default answers, or they can type out their own answer. You can use AskUserQuestionTool to turn your vague ideas into more concrete specs for your coding agent to follow. Here's a quick example using our vague prompt. We put our prompt, and we also said, before building this, ask me 5 questions one by one using AskUserQuestionTool. Claude Code then asked these 5 questions. The first was about the tech stack, and I chose React and TypeScript. The second, I didn't like any of the options, and so I chose an option that I typed out myself. We have a multi-select for different features, and we have a couple more for styling and backend. I was extremely vague, and Claude helped me refine and come up with the specs for the application before building. This is an insanely useful tool in order to refine your ideas, and it's extremely low effort because it's presenting me with all of these options, and I just select the one that I like, or I could type it out on my own if I want to. I want to talk about how you can change your mental model a little bit to get better results when operating Claude Code. I think this is how people typically build software, which is they give a prompt and Claude Code builds some software. They go test it, they find something wrong, they go back to Claude Code, give it a new prompt to fix it, you get a little bit better version. You just repeat that over and over until you finally have the product that you want. I want to present a different way to approach this, which is using AskUserQuestionTool to refine context before building software. So it looks a little bit like this. You have your initial prompt, Claude Code asks you a question, you answer it. This makes the context that you have a little bit better. You repeat this over and over and over, and then you build your software. And so you skip all of these really expensive, time-consuming steps of building software, going and testing it to find out what's wrong, and then building a new version. And instead, you iterate on the context, which is the only thing that matters, before you go out and build. Focusing on improving my context quality prior to letting my coding agent loose and building software has had tremendous impacts on the quality of output of my coding agents. Your goal operating a coding agent should be to optimize the context that you have to maximize the odds that Claude Code builds what you want it to build. It isn't magic. It's not about Claude Code's features or the models not being good enough. It's about what you can do to optimize your context window. Quick interruption. I believe people only subscribe to channels that offer value. It is my mission to create the most value-dense content about operating coding agents and AI. If that interests you, please consider subscribing. I would like to go over a few examples of how you can use AskUserQuestionTool in different workflows as you're operating your coding agent. The first is the example we already kind of gave, where you give a prompt, The agent can explore your code base to find out, how your project is structured, what features you have. And then it can ask you a bunch of questions iteratively before it comes up with a plan on how to implement the new feature. One change that I really like is I added some info in my Claude.md that says whenever my coding agent is making a big tech stack decision, it should present me different options for the tech stack with trade-offs and cost implications. This allows me to answer a question in the middle of a plan session about where I want to host my application or what database I want to use. And these are really important to me as someone who hosts software. And AskUserQuestionTool is kind of like used as the human in the loop node for my coding agent to request information. And I'm being very specific about how Claude Code presents the options to me so I can be more informed in making my decision. Another great way to use this tool is to use it to brainstorm. So for example, if I was wanting to optimize my landing page and I wanted a new header, I could ask Claude to present me with 4 different options that I could choose from before it goes and updates the header. So that's AskUserQuestionTool. It allows Claude to gather information from you instead of making its best guess.